Hey, if you're like me, you don't exactly have a ton of time to shop for clothes. My wife is the same way, and she has introduced me to Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is great. You just take a quick style quiz, share your size, your vibe, your budget, and boom, you're matched with a real human stylist who handles the rest. Stitch Fix sends you a fix box with clothes that actually fit and make sense for your life, work, weekends, whatever. Stitch Fix saves you time, you look great, and you don't even have to think about it. And Stitch Fix is no risk, all style. Try Stitch Fix clothes in the comfort of your home. Keep what works, send back the rest. Free shipping and returns always, and no subscription required. Plus, get a free try-on for your first fix. Get started today at stitchfix.com/podcast to get $20 off your first order, and Stitch Fix will waive your styling fee. That's stitchfix.com/podcast. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy site, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting help convenient. Signing up is easy. You can get paired with a licensed provider typically within 48 hours. You could take your appointments from the comfort and privacy of your home, and you could even talk things out between sessions by sending text messages to your therapist. Also, you at Talkspace can get therapy and medication all in one place, and Talkspace gives high-quality care that's backed by science. Talkspace partners with major research institutions to validate treatment methods, making sure you receive the best care possible from anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. Most insured members have a $0 copay, and listeners of the Al Galdi podcast can get $80 off their first month of Talkspace. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. Talkspace.com/podcast. Promo code SPACE80 for $80 off your first month of Talkspace. And away we go, episode 1140 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, August 25th, 2025. The NFL's 2025 preseason, mercifully, is over. We are a day away from cutdown day, Tuesday, August 26th, the day on which each NFL team must have its active roster at a maximum of 53 players by 4 p.m. Eastern. And we are a day removed from 2 former Washington quarterbacks being involved in related transactions. The Minnesota Vikings. They on Sunday morning announced having agreed to trade quarterback Sam Howell to the Philadelphia Eagles and announced having agreed on a contract with unrestricted free agent quarterback Carson Wentz. So Sam Howell is back in the NFC East, and Carson Wentz is back for another NFL season. Commander Carson is back. Never forget his greeting to us as fans of the Commanders acquiring him via trade with the Indianapolis Colts in March 2022.
What's up, Commanders fans? Carson Wentz here, just landed in D.C. I'm excited to get to work, excited to come in and compete, and, as we all know, excited to really go ahead and start to take command.
Thank you, Carson. Take command. Long live Commander Carson. Sam Howell now is on his 4th different NFL team in 18 months. Carson Wentz now is on his 6th different NFL team in 6 seasons. Sam and Carson, Carson and Sam. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, on which we talk Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. New episodes of this podcast 5 days per week, Monday through Friday, with each episode out by 5 a.m. Eastern, and often much earlier. If you are a Commanders fan, you can count on this podcast being there when you wake up. We appreciate you making this podcast part of your routine. The dual birthday pool party on Saturday afternoon for my son, who turned 8, and my daughter, who just turned 5, went well. No punches were thrown, no 911 calls, no FBI raids, so we are good. Not good on Saturday afternoon was the Commanders' preseason-ending 33 loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Northwest Stadium. How bad is the NFL preseason, right? I mean, how glad are we that the darn thing finally is over? Coming up on the show, a lot on the Commanders. Next segment, analysis of the team trading running back Brian Robinson Jr. to the San Francisco 49ers for a 6th-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. That news broke via reports on Friday afternoon. The Commanders officially announced the trade on Sunday afternoon. Good work by General Manager Adam Peters to get something for Robinson, but there is risk with this trade. The following segment, discussion of receiver Terry McLaurin. He was at the preseason-ending loss to the Ravens on Saturday afternoon. A lot is being made of McLaurin seemingly being isolated and looking downtrodden. I have some thoughts on that. And then the segment after that, analysis of the Commanders' preseason-ending loss to the Ravens, including what mattered from the game and how to take the Commanders in the NFL's 2025 preseason going 0-3 with an NFL worst point differential of minus 71. Does this mean anything, or is it all a bunch of nothing? And also on the show, we'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats, they over the weekend lost 2 out of 3 games at the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies. The O's over the weekend concluded losing 3 out of 4 games against the American League West leading Houston Astros at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. But the most significant Orioles item from the last few days is that the O's on Friday afternoon announced having signed catcher/first baseman Samuel Basallo to a contract extension, what reportedly is an 8-year, $67 million contract extension. Huge news if you're an Orioles fan, and in multiple ways I'll explain. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Email from Rick Proctor on the Commanders 0-3 preseason and on the situation with Terry McLaurin. Writes Rick, Al, trust all is well. Say hello to the birthday kids. Big smile. You know this. I know this. Mark Bullock should know this. DQ/KK/wit ain't showing nothing in preseason games regarding the players and the game plans. The fretting about Luke, Ben, and several others is so overblown. I still believe we haven't seen nothing yet. Just you wait. Regarding Terry, I'm a businessman who negotiated contracts between parties for 35 years. Buddy Baker is showing what not to do. Simple. Terry is so loyal, his loyalty to his indie friend has cost Terry millions. Fact, simple, 13-4 or 14-3. Terry, despite all of this, has no choice but to play. Thank you for the email, Rick. Yeah, Terry McLaurin is from Indianapolis. His agent, Buddy Baker, is from New York, but Baker got his bachelor's degree from Purdue, and he then went to the Indiana University Robert H. McKinney School of Law. So McLaurin and Baker have the Indianapolis connection. Email from Josh off the Commanders this past Wednesday morning announcing a new name for the team facility in Ashburn, Virginia. Big Bear AI Performance Center at Commanders Park, writes Josh. Hey, Al, with all of this talk about the Commanders and AI, remember that your show is powered by AI. Your show is by Al Intelligence. Thank you for the email, Josh. I'm not so sure about that. You know, what's funny is when I see AI written, it looks like my first name, Al, because the uppercase I and lowercase L look the same in type. And of course, for many Washington, D.C. area sports fans, the first thing that you think of when you hear AI is not artificial intelligence, but Georgetown basketball legend and former Philadelphia 76ers star Allen Iverson, right? That is AI to many of us here in the D.C. area. Email from Dave in Israel on the new locker room at the Commanders team facility, for which team ownership the Josh Harris Group has spent a good bit of money on upgrades. Writes Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but the leather in the Skins' new locker room looks very burgundy and the trim looks very gold. Thank you for the email, Dave. Dave is right about the burgundy. The new locker room features burgundy leather chairs for each locker, and above each burgundy leather chair is a dark burgundy background for the team's W logo. I don't know that the gold is especially gold. It might be, but from what I've seen, the burgundy is very burgundy. I read to you from a piece on the team's website, commanders.com, on the new locker room. The piece came out on July 23rd. Quote, in the new lockers, the chair and its surrounding components have sliding doors and the ability to be lifted, revealing tons of places to put stuff. Outside of the individual lockers themselves, the space features a new sound system, a new bigger sauna that changes colors, a new steam room, more private showers, more toilets, and one cohesive sitting area with sofa chairs, and quote, Now, the team in revamping the locker room partnered with a company called Longhorn Lockers. And so there's also this in the piece, quote, drying gear was a concern that the team brought to Longhorn Lockers before a cluttered and crowded ventilation system was set up outside in a hallway. All of the players' gear couldn't even fit in this area. Now there's a new way, which ensures every item of each player, from shoulder pads to helmets to cleats, is dried within 2 hours, end quote. How about that? The team, per its own website, had been using, quote, a cluttered and crowded ventilation system set up outside in a hallway, end quote, to dry players' gear. An NFL team worth billions of dollars was doing this. This is how bad things were under the previous lead owner of the team, a man named Dan Snyder. A man who knows all about how things went wrong under the Danny, and a man who is very happy that things are going well for the Commanders now, is a great sponsor of this podcast, Dr. George Verghese. Dr. Verghese is a board-certified dermatologist and Mohs surgeon. Operating under his direction is the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland, which has locations in Waldorf, Maryland, Leonardtown, Maryland, and Lexington Park, Maryland. Whatever your dermatological needs may be, call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland focuses on medical skin care, cosmetic procedures, and skin cancer diagnosis and comprehensive care. Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer free skin cancer screenings to anyone considered a new patient, and Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer advanced treatments for skin cancer, including painless and scarless skin cancer treatment. Also, if you are dealing with allergic reactions, if you're dealing with acne, psoriasis, or eczema, if you're interested in procedures like Botox, laser hair removal, or chemical peels, call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's 301-396-3401 or midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. For excellent and comprehensive skin care, contact Dr. George Verghese and the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. So there is a cycle that, at least to me, has become very familiar with Washington RB1s. A, the player is acquired. B, the player quickly becomes a fan favorite. C, the player is good for a short while. D, the player then falls off in some way. E, the team and the fan base sour on the player, and the team parts with him. Rinse, wash, repeat. This has happened with every Washington RB1 over the last decade. Alfred Morris, Matt Jones, Fat Rob Kelly, Adrian Peterson, Antonio Gibson, and now Brian Robinson Jr. How soon before we sour on Jacory, Croskey-Merritt and or Chris Rodriguez Jr.? But we this past Friday afternoon had reports that the Commanders had agreed to trade Robinson to the San Francisco 49ers for a 6th-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, ending a quickly developing situation. We just 2 Sunday evenings ago, August 17th, had reports that the Commanders were interested in trading Robinson. He, due to his uncertain future with the Commanders, did not play in what ended up being the 31-17 preseason loss to the Cincinnati Bengals at Northwest Stadium on Monday Night Football that night. We on Friday afternoon had the reports that the Commanders had agreed to trade Robinson to the Niners, and Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, during his postgame press conference following the team's preseason-ending 33 loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Northwest Stadium this past Saturday afternoon, confirmed that the Commanders were trading Robinson to the Niners, and the Commanders on Sunday afternoon officially announced the trade. We last week on this podcast talked at length about why the Commanders soured on Brian Robinson. He in the 2024 regular season played in 14 of the Commanders' 17 games, had 187 carries for 799 yards and 8 touchdowns. He had a yards per carry of 4.27. That doesn't sound so bad, but analytics are not kind to Robinson's 2024 season. He, per Aaron Schatz's DVOA metric, had a rushing DVOA for the 2024 regular season of just minus 4.2%. Robinson, per Pro Football Reference, had a rushing success rate for the 2024 regular season of just 48.7%. League average was 49.6%. Washington is in on analytics like never before. I promise you that the team is aware of those advanced stats, in which, by the way, the team's other three primary running backs in the 2024 season did well. Rushing DVOA stats for Commanders running backs in the 2024 regular season also included Chris Rodriguez, 34.2%, Jeremy McNichols, 22.7%, Austin Eckler, 15.3%. Again, Robinson was at minus 4.2%. And Pro Football Reference's rushing success rates for Commanders running backs in the 2024 regular season also included Chris Rodriguez, 74.3%, Jeremy McNichols, 58.2%, Austin Eckler, 51.9%. Robinson, again, was at just 48.7%. I applaud General Manager Adam Peters for getting a 6th-round draft pick for Robinson. One of the hardest things to do in the NFL is get trade compensation for a player who everyone knows you're likely to cut. See what happened with interior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen this past offseason. There clearly was a trade market for Brian Robinson, and Adam Peters parlayed that into a 6th-round pick. Now, there is this. The Commanders better be right about Robinson. Brian Robinson, to me, is a league average back, but he's not a bad running back. He's just not someone who gets more than what is blocked for, and he's not at all dynamic. But league average is not an insult. You can be worse than league average. And there is not a ton of certainty with the presumed 4 running backs who are going to make the Commanders' initial 53-man roster for the 2025 season. Chris Rodriguez and Jacory Croskey-Merritt are largely unproven. Austin Eckler last season suffered 2 concussions, and Jeremy McNichols is a nice backup, but likely not much more. So there is a bit of a risk here, and, it is a little unsettling that Niners head coach and, of course, former Redskins offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, maybe the number 1 rushing offense mind in the NFL, wanted Brian Robinson. The Niners have a coach-centric approach. Shanahan is in charge of Niners player personnel. He traded for Robinson. Does Shanahan and Robinson see someone who can be really good, better than what he was for the Commanders? Now, the Niners' RB1 is Christian McCaffrey, a brother of Commanders receiver Luke McCaffrey. Robinson would seem to be the Niners' RB2, but is Robinson about to do very well for the Niners? This was ESPN NFL analyst Bill Barnwell on ESPN SportsCenter on Friday afternoon on what getting Brian Robinson does for the Niners.
Gives them a little bit of peace of mind, I think, at the running back position, because we know how good Christian McCaffrey can be. We also know, unfortunately, how dangerous it can be to rely on him for 17 games. 3 of the last 5 years, he's missed significant time at running back. So last year they had Isaac Guerendo come in. Isaac Guerendo is a talented young player. He's more of a home run threat. He's not that consistent between the tackles, going to get you 3, 4, 5 yards guy. Getting Robinson in there in that mix, there's a little more kind of confidence they can have him on for 10 or 12 snaps a game, rotate him in more often, and get more consistently what's blocked there up front. So I don't think he's going to be a home run hitter. Don't think he's going to be a superstar there on a 1-year deal basically in San Francisco, but good landing spot, opportunity to be maybe the lead guy if McCaffrey gets hurt, and maybe be a secondary piece, filter in for a couple drives per game, give McCaffrey more of a rest and feel like you're not going to miss out by having your star running back on the sidelines with a very good starting caliber running back now as your number 2.
I don't think that the Commanders think that Brian Robinson is some terrible running back. I think that the Commanders think that he's not a great fit for offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and I think that the Commanders really like what they have in Jacory Croskey-Merritt and Chris Rodriguez. So during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Saturday afternoon, had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
It's the first time we've had a chance to talk to you since you guys traded Brian Robinson. Just curious, what went into the decision to make that kind of a move?
We knew this was going to be a competitive group, John, like all the way back from the very beginning, and we certainly wish B-Rob the best, with San Francisco in terms of style and fit and all that. So all of that was a factor, but also the room here too.
Did anybody emerge that kind of like maybe open your eyes a little bit that helped make that decision a little bit easier?
We knew that, like I said, just honestly, just the competition of it all. I don't know if like emerging, but we were pretty confident, going into the camp, John, what we'd see and how we'd go. And so when the opportunity, with Adam and team to, go that way, that seemed to make the most sense. And, from a fit and the whole thing for it. So it made sense.
That right there was Dan Quinn saying, yeah, we like Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, and Chris Rodriguez. We like Bill and C-Rod more than we like Brian Robinson. Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, the man known as Bill, he did not play in that preseason-ending loss to the Ravens on Saturday afternoon. That appears to be a function of a shoulder injury that he suffered in the Commanders' preseason opening 48-18 loss at the New England Patriots on August 8th. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Adam Kilgore of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
With Bill, was his not getting in there strictly a matter of just wanting to rest him, or is there any sort of caution with the shoulder still?
Yeah, we just wanted to use all the caution we could to make sure that he's hitting it good. And at that spot, I think we all recognize it's a pretty physical spot, and so it's a deep crew for us at that position. So we thought we haven't seen enough from Kaz and felt in some of those ways, and though by design we said, okay, let's feature them more today.
Well, Chris Rodriguez on Saturday afternoon did play, and he again did well. He had 5 carries for 34 yards, so was not targeted in the passing game. He played on 13% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com and Dan Quinn.
Running back Chris Rodriguez obviously had a really good game Monday night, but then today and the little bit of work that he got, ripped off a couple explosive runs again. How encouraging is that for you to see towards the end here of preseason?
Yeah, it's important for us. And that part of the offense really takes the most work. It's the traps, the combination blocks, getting downhill. And so oftentimes the throwing game is ahead of the running game just from how you practice and train. So going into the games, we wanted to get real looks at it.
I don't know that there is a plan or even has to be a plan for which running back is the Commanders' primary ball carrier in the 2025 regular season. The plan should be to ride whoever's hot, and whoever's hot might change from game to game. One game might be a Jacory Croskey-Merritt game. Another game might be a Chris Rodriguez game. Another game might be an Austin Eckler game. A team in the modern NFL certainly does not have to be wedded to one running back, and of course, injury can dictate who gets carries. But I do want to salute Brian Robinson. I mean, just to be blunt, he's lucky to be alive, right? The Commanders on April 29th, 2022 took Robinson out of the University of Alabama in the 3rd round of the 2022 NFL Draft. He, on August 28th, 2022, was shot multiple times in an incident that happened in Washington, D.C. Robinson and 2 teenagers engaged in a scuffle in which Robinson wrestled a firearm away from one suspect before the other suspect shot Robinson in a leg and hip. But Robinson was released from the hospital the next day, Monday, August 29th, 2022, and he showed up at the Commanders team facility in Ashburn, Virginia on Tuesday, August 30th. 2022. Just amazing. Robinson, in his 2022 rookie regular season, played in 12 of the Commanders' 17 games. He missed each of the team's first 4 games due to being on the reserve/non-football injury or illness list. He, in the 2022 regular season, had a team-high 797 rushing yards and finished number 16 out of 47 qualified players in the NFL in rushing success rate per Pro Football Reference. What stood out to me the most about Robinson's 2023 season was that he, in what was Eric Bieniemy's lone season as Commanders' assistant head coach/offensive coordinator, did well as a receiver. Yes, B-Rob benefited from EB. Robinson in the 2023 regular season played in 15 of the Commanders' 17 games and had 36 receptions for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns on 43 targets. But he, in the 2024 regular season, had just 20 receptions for 159 yards and no touchdowns on 25 targets. Hey, football season is underway. Labor Day weekend is this weekend. Fall grilling season is coming. Now is a great time to get yourself or someone who you care about Omaha Steaks. And here's a great deal for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during Omaha Steaks' Labor Day sale. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. I cannot say enough good things about Omaha Steaks. The food is delicious. Our family loves, yes, the steaks, but also the chicken, the hamburgers, the hot dogs. My 8-year-old son cannot get enough of Omaha Steaks' hot dogs. My wife loves Omaha Steaks' caramel apple tartlets. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety. Every bite is backed by a 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness, and every steak is hand-cut by masters butchers in America's heartland. Omaha Steaks is a family-owned company that has been America's original butcher since 1917. Treat yourself and your family or someone who you care about to Omaha Steaks and take advantage of the great deal for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during Omaha Steaks' Labor Day sale. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. See site for details. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy site, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting help convenient. Signing up is easy. You can get paired with a licensed provider typically within 48 hours. You could take your appointments from the comfort and privacy of your home, and you could even talk things out between sessions by sending text messages to your therapist. Also, you at Talkspace can get therapy and medication all in one place, and Talkspace gives high-quality care that's backed by science. Talkspace partners with major research institutions to validate treatment methods, making sure you receive the best care possible from anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. Most insured members have a $0 copay, and listeners of the Al Galdi podcast can get $80 off their first month of Talkspace. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. Talkspace.com/podcast. Promo code SPACE80 for $80 off your first month of Talkspace. It is going to be so interesting to see if Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin finally practices this week. The team's next practice is on Wednesday, the day after the cut down to 53. Wednesday is August 27th, 11 days after the team activated McLaurin from the active/physically unable to perform list on August 16th. He had been on that since July 27th due to an ankle injury that has been believed to be a cover for him to not practice for the purpose of a hold-in, as he is in the midst of contract extension negotiations with the team. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn has been saying that McLaurin is in the midst of return to play work, conditioning work, ramp-up work before fully practicing. That does make sense because ankle injury or no ankle injury, he has not been practicing, and you don't just want to throw him out there and risk injury. But what is almost always the case is that a player begins practicing right away off being activated from a physically unable to perform list because the return to play work, the conditioning work, the ramp-up work is done during his latter days on the physically unable to perform list. That work apparently was not being done by McLaurin is further reason to believe that this ankle injury has been a cover for him to not practice, but also not get fined. Has been a cover for a hold-in. But the return to play work should not take that long. If McLaurin doesn't practice this week, that is a sign of the hold-in continuing. And then things really could get ugly, including this. What if the Commanders withdraw whatever contract extension offer they do have on the table for McLaurin? Like, we talk about McLaurin being upset with the team. What if the team is upset with him and is sick of this situation and says, the heck with this. We've never had to sign you to a contract extension. It may well be in our best interest not to sign you to a contract extension and just play this year to year via you being under contract for the 2025 season and us having the franchise tag tool for the 2026 and 2027 season. So we are reneging our offer. Don't dismiss the possibility of that happening. I don't want this situation, which remember has included McLaurin requesting to be traded, to get any uglier, but if he doesn't practice this week, you gotta wonder. Terry McLaurin was in attendance for the Commanders' preseason-ending 33 loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Northwest Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Unlike with the Commanders' previous game, McLaurin did not attend the team's 31-17 preseason loss to the Cincinnati Bengals at Northwest Stadium on Monday Night Football this past Monday night, though that was an excused absence, and there were other Commanders players who did not attend that game. Running back Brian Robinson Jr. did not attend the game as he was about to be traded. Right guard Samuel Basallo did not attend the game as he remains on the active/physically unable to perform list. McLaurin on Saturday afternoon was in a hoodie, which has become his go-to gear during his hold-in. He appeared to be standing by himself or sitting by himself for most of the game. He at one point did speak with linebacker Bobby Wagner for a while. That was interesting. Wagner does not have an agent and represents himself in contract negotiations. I do not want to go too crazy with what we saw with McLaurin on Saturday afternoon. It's dangerous to try to read too much into what we saw because there is a lot that we didn't see and there's nothing that we heard. But McLaurin on Saturday afternoon did not look like a happy man. He appeared to be in a solemn, pensive mood, like you compare his behavior on the sideline on Saturday afternoon with the behavior of another star player in the midst of a hold-in. Bengals edge defender Trey Hendrickson on the sideline during the Commanders' preseason loss to the Bengals this past Monday night. Big-time difference between how each guy acted. Hendrickson was engaged and energetic and upbeat. McLaurin appeared to be disengaged and somber and low energy. Now, I'm guessing that at least a decent amount of McLaurin's unhappiness this past Saturday afternoon, if in fact there was unhappiness, was toward the Commanders. But you got to wonder if some of the unhappiness, maybe even a lot of the unhappiness, was just toward the situation in general and maybe even himself. You got to wonder if maybe he's realizing that he has misplayed his situation and or that his agent Buddy Baker has led McLaurin astray and or that this situation is going nowhere other than McLaurin either accepting a contract extension to the team's liking or not signing a contract extension at all. The Commanders, as I've been saying, overwhelmingly have the leverage. The leverage increased when they, on August 16th, activated him off the active/physically unable to perform list. And nothing that McLaurin has done or is apparently doing during this saga, holding out, holding in, slow walking the ramp-up period to actually practicing, has changed anything regarding the leverage. Regarding McLaurin being in attendance on Saturday afternoon, we, during head coach Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Saturday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig and Quinn.
We don't have to ask you where Terry is. We saw him today.
Hadaway.
I guess, was there any difference why he was here today, and what does it mean to have him around?
Yeah, he had just based on how the calendar went from like big work in yesterday, so not today, different than last weekend. So that's how it did. Like, kind of the way that his workouts, fell with the game and the calendar. But yeah, it was awesome to have him here today as well.
Yeah, does Dan Quinn not sound just so over talking about the Terry McLaurin situation? Does Quinn not sound so tired of the whole thing, like we all are so tired of the whole thing? Well, football season is here, and the best daily fantasy is on Prize Picks, which is offering free cash to listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Download the Prize Picks app and use the promo code GALDI, my last name, GALDI. You do that, you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. $50 in lineups when you play just $5. Wherever you are in the DMV, Prize Picks has something for you. Prize Picks Streak is available in Maryland. Prize Picks Pick'em is available in Virginia. And the Prize Picks Real Money Game is available in Washington, D.C. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple and fun. It's based on picking more or less on the day's top player projections. You choose from dozens of player projections. Prize Picks is outstanding for both pro and college football. We, this weekend, Labor Day weekend, have season openers for all 7 of the FBS teams of the Mid-Atlantic region: Maryland, Navy, Virginia Tech, Virginia, James Madison, Old Dominion, and Liberty, to say nothing of so many other teams in action. Prize Picks is awesome. I've used it. It's a ton of fun. It is easy to use. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And take advantage of what Prize Picks is offering to listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Download the Prize Picks app and use the promo code GALDI, my last name, GALDI. You do that, you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Using that promo code helps out this podcast a lot and gets you free money. Prize Picks. Run your game. So what are we to make of the Commanders in the NFL's 2025 preseason going 0-3 with an NFL worst point differential of minus 71? The three preseason results: a 48-18 loss at the New England Patriots on August 8th, a 31-17 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals at Northwest Stadium on Monday Night Football this past Monday night, August 18th, and a 33 loss to the Baltimore Ravens at Northwest Stadium this past Saturday afternoon, August 23rd. The Commanders, over their three games in the 2025 preseason, got outscored 109-38. Well, let's start with this. The team in the 2025 preseason played starters/key players to a very small extent, a microscopic extent. A number of key offensive starters/key players played on literally 4 snaps. That was it. The Commanders' first offensive drive in that loss to the Bengals, a drive that resulted in a Jaden Daniels 2nd and 9, 14-yard shotgun scramble touchdown run. To panic over what happened in a preseason in which Daniels and so many other starters/key players played so little is ridiculous. No panic, please. The overwhelming majority of the team starters/key players did not play at all in games 1 and 3. However, I don't think it's unreasonable to have questions about the Commanders' depth of what we saw in the preseason. There already were questions about the team's depth, being discouraged about the depth, about the quality of backups of what we saw during the preseason is not unreasonable. Adam Peters, when he became the team's general manager in January 2024, took over a roster that was horrendous. Getting that roster to where it is really good takes time, takes multiple good NFL drafts. And the last thing to come in the transformation of an NFL roster from really bad to really good is depth. The cut down to 53 is coming Tuesday, August 26th. It is on that day that each NFL team must have its active roster at a maximum of 53 players by 4 p.m. Eastern. We, during Commanders head coach Dan Quinn's postgame press conference on Saturday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Zavala of The Athletic and Quinn.
For you and Adam Peters, what happens from now till Tuesday at the deadline?
Yeah, this is a challenging time for us. You have to, make difficult decisions, but we've been meeting a lot, leading up until now. So we watch practice together every day. We, spend a lot of time. And so the evaluations keep going. And then, we're just talking now what time we're going to go watch it together tomorrow. Oftentimes we'll watch practice or a game and it's a conversation about a player. It's our time to spend together, talk about the team, what we would do, contingency planning, 53-man roster, 70-man roster. And then, of course, from his side, then there's acquisitions or trades that go into all those. So it is a busy time, Nikki, for sure. But we just, like most things, big decisions, take our time and work our way through them. But the game will be another one to go. And certainly there were some guys today that impressed me. Antonio Hamilton was another one that played physical. I was so pumped to see Jordan McGee out on the field today. He is such a good linebacker. And so for him to get back out and get some playing experience today, I thought that was really important. But we go through the next few days together and, just kind of make sure going through all the looks and where it's at. And then as it gets in from Tuesday to Wednesday, slight changes take place then too.
And that is a key point. Each NFL team must have its initial 53-man roster for the 2025 season set by 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, but an NFL team certainly can change that 53-man roster between then and week 1 of the regular season, and it is this coming Wednesday that each NFL team can put together a practice squad of up to 17 players, as long as one player qualifies and is designated as an international player. For the record, Commanders' offensive players who did not play on Saturday afternoon included quarterbacks Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota, receivers Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel Sr., Noah Brown, and Jalen Lane, tight ends Zach Ertz and John Bates, running backs Austin Eckler and Jacory Croskey-Merritt, offensive linemen Laramie Tunsil, Josh Connerly Jr., Tyler Biadasz, Samuel Cosmi, Nick Allegretti, and Andrew Wiley. Commanders' defensive players who did not play on Saturday afternoon included interior defensive linemen Deron Payne and Javon Kinlaw, Edge defenders Von Miller, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise Jr., and Jacob Martin. Linebackers Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, and Nick Bellore. Cornerbacks Marshawn Lattimore, Mikey Sainristil, and Jonathan Jones. Safeties Quan Martin, Will Harris, Jeremy Reeves, and Percy Butler. Just think about the safeties. The team did not play any of its top 4 safeties. Now, Commanders players who did play in this game included a good number of second-year players, guys who the team clearly feels need work. Receiver Luke McCaffrey, he played on 43% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. He had 5 receptions for 23 yards on 5 targets. It stood out that the Commanders in this game did not play receiver Jalen Lane at all, but did play Luke McCaffrey, a definite sign that Lane is ahead of McCaffrey on the depth chart. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig and Dan Quinn.
With regards to Luke McCaffrey, it seemed like it was an emphasis to get him the ball. Looking at his entire journey this year from OTAs to now, where have you kind of seen him grow the most, or where do you think he still needs to maybe take that next step?
Yeah. One, we've pushed him in 2 spots, which he's definitely capable of handling, both playing outside and inside. The things that I've seen improve for him, is the route, and the precision doing that, the footwork that goes with that. He's always been one hell of a competitor. He's got punt return background, kick return background for us. So we like all the things that Luke brings, but it's really the competitor that, kind of sets it apart, Ben, in that way. But I do like the versatility that he does outside to inside. I thought it won't maybe show up all the way on the stat sheet, but he's made an impact on the team side. Last week, I thought for him covering kicks, man, I felt it.
Yeah, so Dan Quinn talking up Luke McCaffrey covering kicks. That is nice. That is swell. But ideally a receiver on whom the team spent a 3rd-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft is making an impact as, a receiver. I hope that happens. We'll see. But for now, Jalen Lane, who the team took in the 4th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, is ahead of Luke McCaffrey. Tight end Ben Sinnott, he on Saturday afternoon played on 18% of the team's offensive snaps. He had 0 targets, although that may have been due to the quarterback play. More on that in a bit. But meantime, tight end Colson Yankoff, he had 1 reception for 52 yards on 2 targets and playing on 13% of the team's offensive snaps. His 52-yard reception was the highlight of the game for the Commanders. We know that the team's top 2 tight ends are Zach Ertz and John Bates. Could it be that Yankoff has surpassed Sinnott as the TE3? Is that crazy talk? Sinnott just has not done much. Yankoff is someone who has drawn a lot of praise. Will the Commanders keep 4 as opposed to 3 tight ends on that initial 53-man roster? Interior defensive lineman Johnny Newton, he on Saturday afternoon played on 28% of the team's defensive snaps. Linebacker Jordan McGee played on 22% of the team's defensive snaps. So a lot of work for 2024 Commanders draft picks in this game. And then there was another 2024 Commanders draft pick, left guard Brandon Coleman. How about this guy? He actually wasn't supposed to play in the game, but he lobbied to play and ended up playing on 18% of the team's offensive snaps. Good for him. He, during training camp and the preseason, missed a lot of time due to injury. He ended up making his way into playing in this game via lobbying to play in the game. Dan Quinn on Saturday afternoon on Brandon Coleman advocating to play in this game.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to the readiness, and a mindset to say, hey, I know, regular season here is coming and I need this work. And so it takes a lot of self-awareness, because probably the easy narrative is to say back off and not. And so for him to, advocate, hey, it's strong enough, it's ready. So that's why we did the pregame to see how he felt. And we'll always make the right decisions for the players, but I trust them too. And to say, hey, I need this work and I want to get ready. I know what that's like. And some I'll have to protect them from themselves. That's the Noah Browns of the world. No, you're not going to go, even though he would no matter what. But there's others that I really trust, hey, I got to get some. Doesn't have to be the whole thing, but I'd like some, and I believe in them too.
All right, as for the Commanders' quarterbacks in this preseason-ending loss to the Ravens. So the Commanders played 2 quarterbacks in Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson, and each guy struggled. Sam Hartman was the Commanders' starting quarterback, played on 52% of the team's offensive snaps. He went 12 for 17 for 114 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He took 2 sacks, including a sack strip for a lost fumble. He had 1 carry for 9 yards. So both of the interceptions came in the second quarter, including a 1st and 10 26-yard pick six by cornerback Keon Martin with 1:16 left in the second quarter. Josh Johnson played on 48% of the team's offensive snaps. He went 7 for 13 for 50 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He took no sacks. He had 1 carry for 6 yards. Sam Hartman just had maybe the single worst preseason that any Washington quarterback has ever had. I'm serious. Hartman over 3 games in the 2025 preseason went just 25 for 46 for just 207 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. His yards per pass attempt was a horrendous 4.5. His completion percentage was a terrible 54.35. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Liam Griffin of the Washington Times and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Coach, it looked like it was a tough first half from Sam Hartman. Is it harder to assess some of the receivers on the bubble when the quarterback is kind of struggling like that?
That's a great question. You really have to look at, okay, from the receiver spot, where was the route? Like, for instance, there was a time last week that Luke absolutely got on top of somebody on a deep route. Now, we didn't throw it that way. And so maybe we didn't, take the attempt to him, but you felt the speed of him absolutely going for it. So I would say are you in the right spot, doing the right route? And if the ball doesn't go your way, I think that's more difficult than if you are getting covered, you got beat, and the ball wasn't able to go your way because of getting guarded in that way. So it is a good question. I don't think it hampers the receiver unless there was an errant throw or a decision not to go to the correct read. But as far as the routes and the physicality and going to do things, there's always good things to hit on that way.
When a head coach gets asked whether a quarterback who was really bad was so bad to where he made evaluating his teammates very difficult, and the head coach doesn't dismiss the premise, that, my friends, is telling. Josh Johnson in the just concluded NFL preseason was better than Sam Hartman, is much more proven than Hartman, and 100% won this QB3 competition. But it's not like Johnson was great in the preseason. He wasn't. And I do wonder if the Commanders in their cut down to 53 might go with just 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster with the idea that Johnson can be cut but will clear waivers, and the team then can sign him to the practice squad. Hartman may have played his way out of the NFL, okay, but Johnson may have played his way off the 53-man roster and onto the practice squad. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Nicky Javala and Dan Quinn.
You've had Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson compete for a third quarterback spot. Does that indicate you're set on having 3 quarterbacks? And what do you think of their performance in general in preseason?
Yeah, we haven't decided from 3 and practice squads and those types of things yet, Nicky. But I think where's the what do you find when you get a lot of quarters and that type? So when Mark is being out, that created more playing time, and so just like we were saying with the whole team, they got more ops to play than they normally would have, and so I think those are important parts of the evaluation as it goes into it. But as far as numbers in terms of how many, we haven't finalized any of those things yet.
We heard Dan Quinn allude to the wild card in the Commanders' quarterback situation. The health of the QB2, Marcus Mariota, he has been dealing with Achilles tendonitis. He did not play on a single snap in the 2025 preseason. If you are looking for a player who distinguished himself during the Commanders' 0-3 preseason, how about linebacker Ale Cajo, an undrafted rookie out of UCLA? Ale Cajo, in the preseason-ending loss to the Ravens, had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 90.8, the highest overall grade for any Commanders player who played on at least 15 defensive snaps in the game. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. Cajo, for the 2025 preseason, was number 1 on the Commanders in tackles, 15. We on Saturday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com and Dan Quinn.
Ollie is a player that kind of stood out to me during the course of the game. Can you just kind of talk about his performance specifically tonight, but just overall?
Yeah, one thing about playing linebacker and behind the line of scrimmage, you want to see guys who can play square and tackle. And that is one thing from him, really instinctual. So I like how he can do that. He's had a good run here on the special team side of things. So yeah, he is really just improving as it's going. So he's worked really hard from the time the mini camp ended to going into the training camp. He's really somebody that's absolutely going for it.
Well, you would think that Ale Cajo at least has earned a spot on the practice squad. The five linebackers who appear to be locks for the Commanders' initial 53-man roster for the 2025 season: Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Jordan McGee, Keen Madrano, and Nick Bellore. Are you looking to upgrade the heart of your home? Whether it's time to repair your gas fireplace, modernize your hearth, or simply add more comfort and style, Nova Fireplace and Stove is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for heat, safety, and home transformation. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed, and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Nova Fireplace and Stove has a beautiful showroom in Woodbridge, Virginia. That's where your dream fireplace begins. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacement, and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Every job includes a free in-home estimate. And for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed because Nova Fireplace and Stove takes pride in every flame that is lit and in every customer who is served. So stop by the showroom, see what's possible, and let Nova Fireplace and Stove help you bring warmth, safety, and style to your space. You can also visit NovaFireplaceandStove.com. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship, and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. So the Nationals on Sunday afternoon concluded a 5-5 stretch against the top two teams in the National League East. Not bad. 3-4 against the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies and 2-1 against the New York Mets. The Nats over the weekend did lose 2 out of 3 games at the Phillies. Friday evening, a 5-4 win at the Phillies in a game in which the Nats blew a 3-0 second inning lead, but overcame a 4-3 ninth inning deficit by scoring 2 runs in the top of the ninth off Phillies closer Joan Duran. Saturday evening, a 6-4 loss at the Phillies, despite the Nats putting another scare into Duran. The Nats had runners at the corners with 1 out in the top of the ninth, and Sunday afternoon, a 3-2 loss at the Phillies. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 53-77, worst record in the NL East, second worst record in the NL. Lackluster offense for the Nats in this series. The 5-4 win at the Phillies on Friday evening. The Nats scored 5 runs, totaled 8 hits, worked 4 walks, and went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits were a home run, 2 doubles, and 5 singles. The 6-4 loss at the Phillies on Saturday evening. The Nats scored 4 runs and totaled 9 hits, which were 2 home runs, 3 doubles, and 4 singles. But the Nats worked just 1 walk, went just 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and struck out 12 times. And the 3-2 loss at the Phillies on Sunday afternoon, the Nats scored just 2 runs, totaled just 5 hits, worked just 2 walks, went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, and struck out 12 times. The 5 hits were a home run, a double, and 3 singles. The Nats in this game got worked by Philly starting pitcher Ranger Suarez. He tossed 7 scoreless innings with 11 strikeouts versus no walks. He is having a really good season. Luis Garcia Jr. did homer in each of the final 2 games of the series. That was good. The 6-4 loss at the Phillies on Saturday evening. Garcia, as the Nats starting second baseman and number 4 batter, went 3 for 4 with a solo homer, an RBI double, and a single. Garcia in the Nats 2-run 6 had a 1-out solo homer to center field to cut the Nats deficit to 6-3. The homer went a projected 422 feet per Statcast. The 3-2 loss at the Phillies on Sunday afternoon. Garcia in the Nats 1-run 9th had a pinch 1-out solo homer to center field to cut the Nats deficit to 3-2. The homer went a projected 414 feet per Statcast. Garcia is having a wretched defensive season, but he is one of the Nats' better hitters. That's not saying a ton, but he for this regular season is number 3 among all qualified Nats players in OPS at 719. And then there is James Wood. The MLB record for most strikeouts by a batter in a regular season is 223 by Mark Reynolds in 2009. Wood for this regular season now has a major league worst 174 strikeouts. He is within striking distance at 223. Now, strikeouts in today's MLB are not nearly as taboo as they were years ago, but you certainly don't want to be setting a new MLB record for most strikeouts by a batter in a regular season. The 5-4 win at the Phillies on Friday evening, Wood is the Nats starting left fielder and number one batter, went 2 for 3 with a double, a single, and a walk. He did get picked off at first base. He struck out once. The 6-4 loss at the Phillies on Saturday evening, Wood is the Nats starting left fielder and number one batter, went 2 for 5 with a double and a single. And he registered an outfield assist, but he got caught in an attempted steal of second base, and he struck out 3 times. The 3-2 loss at the Phillies on Sunday afternoon, Wood is the Nats starting DH and number one batter, went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and he grounded into a killer double play. Wood in the top of the 8th with the bases loaded, no outs, and the Nats down 3-0, grounded into a run-scoring 4-6-3 double play. James Wood for this regular season is number one among all qualified Nats players at OPS at 831, but his OPS as of games through July 3rd was 958, and he for this month of August has, get this, just 6 walks versus 35 strikeouts. He is in a big-time plate discipline slump. This guy was drawing walks like crazy. The walks have dried up, and the strikeouts are spiking. The Nats starting pitching in the team losing 2 out of 3 games at the Phillies over the weekend was good in just 1 of the 3 games. So that was game 1, the 5-4 win at the Phillies on Friday evening. Cade Cavalli had another encouraging outing. He allowed 3 runs in 6 innings. Yes, that does translate to an ERA of 4.50, but that technically is a quality start, and while I'm not a fan of the quality start stat, this to me was a quality start. Cavalli gave up 7 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 5 singles. He issued 2 walks and a hit by pitch. He recorded 4 strikeouts. He threw a lot of strikes, 95 pitches, 64 strikes, just 31 balls. So Cavalli allowed 1 run in 5 2/3 innings before giving up a 2-out, 2-run homer by Bryson Stott to right field to tie the game at 3 in the bottom of the 6th. Cade Cavalli, since the Nats on August 6th announced having recalled him from AAA Rochester, 4 starts, ERA of 2.82, whip of 1.34, 18 strikeouts versus 6 walks. The 6-4 loss at the Phillies on Saturday evening, Mitchell Parker had another bad outing. He allowed 6 runs in 5 innings. He gave up 6 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 2 singles. He issued a walk. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He did throw a lot of strikes as he over 103 pitches threw 68 strikes versus 35 balls. Parker began the outing with 3 scoreless and hitless innings, but he in the bottom of the 4th allowed 5 runs on a home run, 2 doubles, and 2 singles. The homer was a 2-out, 3-run homer by the Phillies' number 8 batter, Edmundo Sosa, to left field for a 5-0 Phillies lead. And Parker in the bottom of the 5th gave up a leadoff full-count homer by ex-Nat Trey Turner to left field for a 6-1 Phillies lead. And so the bad times for Mitchell Parker continue. He, for this regular season now, 26 starts, ERA of 6.01. That is the second worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors. Whip of 1.49. That is the worst whip among all qualified pitchers in the majors. And his strikeouts per 9 innings is a tiny 5.81. His strikeouts per 9 innings is lower than his ERA, 5.81 versus 6.01. That is not how that is supposed to be. And the 3-2 loss at the Phillies on Sunday afternoon, Jake Irvin had another bad outing. He officially allowed 3 runs in 2 1/3 innings. Yeah, Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo yanked Irvin after just 2 1/3 innings. Irvin gave up 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles. He issued 2 walks. He recorded 2 strikeouts. He threw 69 pitches, just 39 strikes versus 30 balls. Jake Irvin now for this regular season, 27 starts, ERA of 5.40. That is the 3rd worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors. Whip of 1.43. That is the 2nd worst whip among all qualified pitchers in the majors. Here's the bottom line. The Nats in Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin have, statistically speaking, arguably the 2 worst qualified pitchers in the majors this season. Think about that. 2/5 of the Nats rotation is comprised of arguably the 2 worst qualified pitchers in the majors this season. But then there is the Nats bullpen, which, believe it or not, is surging right now. Yes, I said the Nats bullpen is surging right now. The Nats lost 2 out of 3 games at the Phillies over the weekend despite excellent relief pitching. Nats relievers in the series officially combined to allow just 1 run in 11 2/3 innings. Second consecutive series in which the Nats relief pitching was very good. Nats relievers in the team winning 2 out of 3 games against the New York Mets at Nationals Park this past Tuesday through Thursday combined to allow just 2 runs in 11 1/3 innings. So the 5-4 win at the Phillies on Friday evening, 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 innings. The hero was P.J. Poulin. He tossed 2 perfect innings with 3 swinging strikeouts. Jose A. Ferrer and Cole Henry were unavailable due to each guy having pitched on each of the previous 2 days, and so Poulin came through. He was a strike-throwing machine, 22 pitches, 16 strikes versus just 6 balls. The 6-4 loss at the Phillies on Saturday evening, 2 Nats relievers combined for 3 scoreless innings, including Orlando Revolta tossing 2 scoreless innings, and the 3-2 loss at the Phillies on Sunday afternoon, 4 Nats relievers officially combined for 5 2/3 scoreless innings. Shinosuke Ogasawara officially tossed 2 2/3 scoreless innings, though he had a Phillies 1-run third, did issue a 2-out bases-loaded walk of the Phillies' number 9 batter, Rafael Marchand, for a 3-0 Phillies lead. But Jackson Rutledge tossed a scoreless bottom of the 6th, although he did issue a 2-out walk and did then give up a 2-out double. He got into trouble, but he then generated a big 3-pitch called strikeout of the Phillies' number 4 batter, Alec Bohm. Connor Pilkington tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th with 3 swinging strikeouts, and Clayton Beeter tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th. Next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the New York Yankees, and the Nats in this series have going for them their 3 best starting pitchers right now. Game 1, Monday night at 7:05, Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Tuesday night at 7:05, Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3, Wednesday afternoon at 1:05, Cade Cavalli will be the Nats starting pitcher. I know that many of you run your own businesses, and so I want to tell you about Square. Square is an all-in-one business partner that makes your day-to-day easier. Square offers tools for every part of your business, from point-of-sale systems and payments to inventory and customer tools. Square brings everything together in one simple platform so you can stay organized, sell anywhere, and keep things moving. Square is easy to use. If you're not technology savvy, no problem. The software is incredibly straightforward and intuitive. You don't need special training. You can just set up Square and start taking payments quickly. Square is flexible. It adjusts to what you need. With Square, you choose the tools that you need and you use them when you want. No long-term contracts required. You can sell in person or online from one location or several. Square is built to move with you and adapt as your business grows. Square keeps up so you don't have to slow down. Get everything you need to run and grow your business without any long-term commitments. And here's a great deal. You can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/Galdi. That's SQUARE.com/GO/GALDI. You can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/Galdi. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. Hey, if you're like me, you don't exactly have a ton of time to shop for clothes. My wife is the same way, and she has introduced me to Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is great. You just take a quick style quiz, share your size, your vibe, your budget, and boom, you're matched with a real human stylist who handles the rest. Stitch Fix sends you a fix box with clothes that actually fit and make sense for your life, work, weekends, whatever. Stitch Fix saves you time, you look great, and you don't even have to think about it. And Stitch Fix is no risk, all style. Try Stitch Fix clothes in the comfort of your home. Keep what works, send back the rest. Free shipping and returns always, and no subscription required. Plus, get a free try-on for your first fix. Get started today at StitchFix.com/podcast to get $20 off your first order, and Stitch Fix will waive your styling fee. That's StitchFix.com/podcast. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy site, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting help convenient. Signing up is easy. You can get paired with a licensed provider typically within 48 hours. You could take your appointments from the comfort and privacy of your home, and you could even talk things out between sessions by sending text messages to your therapist. Also, you with Talkspace can get therapy and medication all in one place, and Talkspace gives high-quality care care that's backed by science. Talkspace partners with major research institutions to validate treatment methods, making sure you receive the best care possible from anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. Most insured members have a $0 copay, and listeners of the Al Galdi podcast can get $80 off their first month of Talkspace. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. Talkspace.com/podcast. Promo code SPACE80 for $80 off your first month of Talkspace. Well, if there's such a thing as an MLB team on a Friday afternoon placing multiple key players on injured lists and losing 2 out of 3 games over a weekend, but still having a good weekend, the Orioles just did that. The O's on Friday afternoon announced having placed infielder Jordan Westburg on the 10-day injured list, retroactive to August 19th due to a sprained right ankle. The O's on Friday afternoon announced having placed starting pitcher Brandon Young on the 15-day injured list due to a left hamstring strain. The O's over the weekend concluded losing 3 out of 4 games against the American League West leading Houston Astros at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Thursday night, a 7-2 loss to the Astros. Friday night, a 10-7 loss to the Astros. Saturday night, a 9-8 loss to the Astros. But Sunday afternoon, a 3-2 win over the Astros as the O's, Joe Angel, were back in the win column.
And the Orioles again in the win column.
Yes, Joe, the win column. The O's in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 60-70, worst record in the American League East, 4th worst record in the American League. More on the series in a bit, but the most important Orioles item from the last few days is that the O's on Friday afternoon announced having signed catcher/first baseman Samuel Basallo to a contract extension. What reportedly is an 8-year, $67 million contract extension that'll begin with the 2026 season and includes a club option for the 2034 season and escalators that make the total package worth $88.5 million. A long-term contract extension that eats up the arbitration years and some of the free agency years for a highly touted young player. The kind of contract extension that we have seen so often in MLB in recent years, and yet have seen so little from the O's and also the Nationals. This Samuel Basallo contract extension news is great news if you're an Orioles fan. This is encouraging news if you're an Orioles fan. And the price that the O's got Samuel Basallo at is terrific. 8 years, $67 million. The Nats on March 11th, 2023 announced having agreed with catcher Keibert Ruiz on an 8-year contract extension with 2 club options. So the first 8 seasons of the contract extension reportedly were worth $50 million. Put aside that Ruiz has been a big disappointment. 2 years ago, the Nats signed a catcher not as highly touted as Basallo for 8 years, $50 million. 2 years later, price is up, right? And yet the O's got Basallo for 8 years, $67 million. This is a team-friendly, low-risk, sky-high upside deal for the O's. Now, there is some risk here. Basallo just got to the majors. The news came just 5 days after the O's on August 17th announced having selected the contract of Basallo from AAA Norfolk. But the guy has the potential to be a superstar. He, per MLB Pipeline, is the Orioles' #1 overall prospect and is the #8 overall prospect in baseball. The O's initially signed Basallo as an international free agent out of the Dominican Republic in January 2021. And big picture, this contract extension is a sign that, yes, the Orioles can. Yes, the O's can sign a promising young player to a contract extension. Do you know that prior to this contract extension, the O's had been the only team in MLB to have not signed a player to a contract extension of at least 4 guaranteed years since the O's announced the hiring of Mike Elias as Executive Vice President and General Manager on November 16th, 2018. Amazing. Are more such contract extensions for the O's coming? Well, some of their best players are represented by the Boras Corporation, i.e. super agent Scott Boras, who is known to despise such extensions. Shortstop Gunnar Henderson, third baseman / second baseman Jordan Westberg, second baseman Jackson Holliday, all are Boras clients. Samuel Basallo is not a Boras client. We, during a press conference on Saturday afternoon, had this exchange between Kyle Goons, sports columnist for the Baltimore Banner, and Orioles controlling owner David Rubenstein.
Hi, for David, sort of similar to what Jacob asked, how important was it to the ownership group, now a year and a half in, to start getting some long-term contracts for some of these homegrown players? And you described in your statement Samuel being a catalyst. Do you mean that as more of these deals in the future?
Well, thank you for the question. The Orioles ownership group is fairly well capitalized, and we have the resources to do these kind of deals. It takes two to do deals, but we thought this was a perfect one for the first one of this type, not only because his last name begins with a B and we're in Baltimore. We like the fact that he has a B. I wish I could talk to him in Spanish. I went to Baltimore City College, and they had a choice between French and Spanish. They said French was easier, so I took French. I should have taken Spanish, but I'll brush up on my Spanish at some point, I hope, and I can converse in Spanish better than I can in English at some point, I hope. The best players the Orioles have had over the years, historically, have been homegrown. So Jim Palmer, his entire career is here. Brooks Robinson, entire career here. Cal Ripken, entire career here. So obviously you can get good players from time to time who are come later in their career and may not finish their career here, but we've had a tradition of having players who spent their entire career here, and we hope Sam will as well. And we think, we've got a lot of other talented people on the team who we hope will ultimately want to spend their entire career here or spend long-term arrangements with us, and we're committed to doing more of these as soon as we can.
So how about that? David Rubenstein, quote, "The Orioles ownership is fairly well capitalized and we have the resources to do these kind of deals," end quote. Hopefully more of these kind of deals are coming. As for the O's losing 3 out of 4 games to the Astros, the Orioles offense was so-so in games 1 and 4 and was good in games 2 and 3. The 7-2 loss to the Astros on Thursday night, the O's scored just 2 runs, so the O's totaled 9 hits, which were a home run and 8 singles. The O's worked 3 walks, but went just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The 10-7 loss to the Astros on Friday night, the O's scored 7 runs, totaled 13 hits, and worked 6 walks, so the O's did go just 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. The 13 hits were 2 home runs, a double, and 10 singles. The 9-8 loss to the Astros on Saturday night, the O's scored 8 runs, totaled 9 hits, worked 5 walks, and went 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. The 9 hits were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 5 singles. And the 3-2 win over the Astros on Sunday afternoon, the O's scored just 3 runs, a total just 8 hits, worked just 1 walk, and went 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits were 2 home runs and 6 singles. So the O's over the 4 games did total 7 home runs. So the Orioles starting pitching in the team losing 3 out of 4 games to the Astros was bad in games 1 through 3, but great in game 4. The 7-2 loss to the Astros on Thursday night, Brandon Young allowed 7 runs in 5 1/3 innings. The 10-7 loss to the Astros on Friday night, Cade Povich, in his 4th outing since coming off the 15-day injured list, officially allowed 6 runs, 4 earned in 4 2/3 innings. He gave up 4 hits, which were a home run and 3 singles. He issued 2 walks. He did record 5 strikeouts, and he did throw a good number of strikes, 96 pitches, 60 strikes, just 36 balls. So Povich, in a 4-run third for the Astros, committed one of 2 throwing errors by the O's, and he then gave up a 3-run homer by Jeremy Pena to left field for a 4-0 Astros lead. Cade Povich at the major league level this regular season, 17 games, including 15 starts, ERA of 5.13, whip of 1.43. Not good, although his strikeouts per 9 innings is good, 9.94. The 9-8 loss to the Astros on Saturday night, Dean Kramer allowed 7 runs runs, 6 earned in 5 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were 3 home runs, a double, and 3 singles. He did have 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He threw 75 pitches, 45 strikes versus 30 balls. But the most interesting aspect of Kramer's outing is that he pretty clearly had problems with catcher Samuel Basallo. Kramer appeared to be frustrated with Basallo in speaking with him as the two walked off the field after a 2-run Astros third. But Kramer, during his post-game session with reporters, to his credit, said this, quote, "It was our first time working together, and he's going to be here for a while, so I'm sure there's going to be some learning curve, but you miss pitches down the middle and you get hurt. That's on me. That's not on him," end quote. And the 3-2 win over the Astros on Sunday afternoon, Trevor Rogers tossed another gem. He allowed 1 run in 7 innings with 9 strikeouts. He gave up 5 hits, all of which were singles. He issued 3 walks and a balk. He threw 93 pitches, 59 strikes, 34 balls. The amazing run of Trevor Rogers continues. He now, for this regular season at the major league level, 13 starts, ERA of 1.40, whip of 0.83, 76 strikeouts versus 19 walks. He has been sensational. Consider this. Rogers, for this regular season, as of games through Saturday, was number 6 among all American League pitchers in wins above replacement per Baseball Reference at 4.2. Now think about that. 4.2 WAR over just 12 starts, and he now has had another high-level start. It is amazing what Trevor Rogers is doing. The Orioles' relief pitching in the team losing 3 out of 4 games to the Astros was good in Game 1, but then had problems in Games 2 through 4. The 7-2 loss to the Astros on Thursday night, 3 Orioles relievers combined for 3 2/3 scoreless innings, but the 10-7 loss to the Astros on Friday night, 4 Orioles relievers officially combined to allow 4 runs in 4 1/3 innings. The biggest blow was given up by Yennier Cano. He officially allowed 1 run in 1/3 of an inning, but he and an Astros 3-run 5th faced 3 batters and got just 1 out as he, to the first batter he faced, gave up a 2-out 3-run homer by former Orioles prospect Christian Walker to left center field for a 7-3 Astros lead. Also, Matt Bowman officially allowed 2 runs and 1 1/3 innings. He's back. The O's on Friday afternoon announced having selected the contract of Bowman from AAA Norfolk. The 2 runs that he allowed came while Corbin Martin was pitching. He officially allowed 1 run in 1 2/3 innings, but he and an Astros 3-run 8th gave up a 2-out 2-run double and a 2-out RBI double on consecutive pitches. So the 9-8 loss to the Astros on Saturday night, 3 Orioles relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 4 innings. The culprit was Dietrich Enns. He allowed 2 runs in 2 innings. He and an Astros a 2-run 7th gave up a tie-breaking 2-out 2-run homer by Christian Walker to left field for a 9-7 Astros lead. The homer winner projected 414 feet per StatCast. And the 3-2 win over the Astros on Sunday afternoon, 2 Orioles relievers combined to allow 1 run in 2 innings. Rico Garcia officially allowed 1 run in 1/3 of an inning. He and an Astros 1-run 8th faced 4 batters but got just 1 out as he gave up 3 singles. But Keegan Aiken was terrific. He officially tossed 1 2/3 perfect innings with 2 swinging strikeouts for the save. Next up for the O's is a 4-game series against the Boston Red Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Game 1, Monday evening at 6:35, Tomoyuki Sagano will be the Orioles starting pitcher. Game 2, Tuesday evening at 6:35, the Orioles starting pitcher is to be announced. Game 3, Wednesday evening at 6:35, the Orioles starting pitcher is to be announced. Game 4, Thursday afternoon at 1:05, Cade Povich will be the Orioles starting pitcher. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday show, episode 1141. We'll have plenty for you on the Commanders. Also on Tuesday's show, I'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats are at the New York Yankees Monday night at 7:05 in Game 1 of a 3-game series. The O's are home to the Boston Red Sox Monday evening at 6:35 in Game 1 of a 4-game series. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
What's up, Commanders fans? Carson Wentz here, just landed in D.C. I'm excited to get to work, excited to come in and compete, and, as we all know, excited to really go ahead and start to take command.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.